any background noise. My colleague Eloy is in the background and will mute you if you forget. But indeed, when you do speak, if you would like to speak, of course, you can enable your microphone. Finally, to put your comments, your questions in the chat. We will have a long period for discussion and interaction today, which will be moderated by Peter Okubukula and Juma Shubani, who are our key facilitators and speakers today. But if you're not comfortable speaking, you're welcome to write your comments and questions also in the chat, and we will be monitoring that as well. Just a few additional words on my behalf, and then I will give it over to Deirdre Lennon, who will be doing a short welcome from the European Union Commission. We're very pleased about this event series. This is the first of 6 events. The purpose of CESA Higher Education in Focus is to put focus on the CESA agenda. CESA is the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, the African Union's flagship strategy. We are focusing on higher education, of course, and this particular series of activities is trying to shine light on the need to generate more comprehensive, comparable, and consistent data on higher education across the continent to be able to assess where we are and where we are going. The HACWA initiative is supporting this agenda as part of its contract, in addition to supporting a number of activities, capacity buildings, trainings in the field of quality assurance in particular. We invite you to join us for further activities. If you look on the website through which you registered, we will be announcing further events through this platform. And they are all driven by the coordinators of the CESA Higher Education Cluster and its respective subclusters. This is a structure that brings together stakeholders to look at different areas and themes in higher education relevant to the CESA objectives, particularly in higher education, like private education, like curricula, like university industry collaboration, etc. So we're trying to work closely with the CESA cluster and its coordinators to bring these events to you. I would like to now give the floor to Deirdre Lennon, who is our colleague, friend, and counterpart in the European Union Commission, who is overseeing the HACWA initiative and the Africa-Europe Education Strategical Partnership, which supports this endeavor. So Deirdre, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Colleagues, it's a pleasure to see so many of you here today and so many people that I know. Peter, Juma, to start with, we've been working together for a number of years now, and it's really a pleasure to see the focus that's being put on CESA now. We were discussing, I think, on numerous dinners when CESA was drafted by the African Union, and a number of you were actually collaborating to the setup of the higher education cluster. So that's very nice to have this series now ahead of us. I'd like to say hello to the colleagues at the African Union Commission, at the Association of African Universities, OBREAL, and all the organizers, and thank you for this event today. I wanted to underline the extent to which the European Union is a long-standing partner of Africa in the fields of education, research, and innovation. We have a number of partnerships in these fields at bilateral, regional, and continental levels, be it the European Commission, but also our member states. Our last year's communication towards a comprehensive strategy with Africa was focusing very much on the development of knowledge, digital technology, skills, scientific capacities, including research. And all these elements, I think, are one of the reasons why we're here today and why HACWA is supporting the CESA agenda now. Following the pandemic, I think it's been very clear to everybody to what extent human capital development, skills, quality, higher education and innovation will be a driver for policy objectives and an essential component of recovery. We've got a new, stronger international dimension under the Erasmus program, and I'm very pleased that we'll have significantly more funding, at least that's expected, for collaboration with Africa. In Europe, the latest policy sort of frameworks is the European education area and the Digital Education Action Plan. And we look very much forward to collaborating and sharing practices between the two continents, as Africa is really a priority region for Europe. Under the new Erasmus program, we'll have many opportunities for discussions, thoughts, reflections, and initiatives that are taking place between the academic community on both continents will be able to be followed up through projects under Erasmus in the coming years. And I think it's very important that the themes that are being touched upon in these CESA series are really priority areas, both for Africa, but also are reflected in the policy objectives in the European Union. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunities for collaboration together there. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say these welcome words to you today, and I wish you the best of luck with your collaboration in these focus series. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deirdre, and thank you for your continued support as usual. I would like to give the floor now to Emmanuel Chigosi, who joins us from the African Union Commission. He is our principal contact point for higher education related initiatives under the Africa-EU Strategic Partnership and is working in the Department of Human Resources, Science and Technology. Emmanuel, if you
CESA 1625 is the African Union's education transformation agenda and the African Union's transformation strategy that addresses the challenges plaguing the education ecosystem. CESA 1625 is driven by a number of guiding principles, some pillars and strategic objectives, most of which are very significant to the objective of this initiative and cut across the various themes for the CESA Higher Education in Focus event. CESA capitalizes on numerous and active players to mobilize financial, human and technical resources within the African continent for education development, and not just education, but of course on science and technology. Thus, the strategy seeks to provide each education stakeholders the opportunity to make its best contribution to education and training in Africa. The implementation of the CESA requires concerted, harmonious, and systemic effort, notably ADIA, on policy support and development of the EMIS, which we call the Education Management and Information System. This framework took into cognizance a number of indicators and forms the SDG 4 framework and the AU second decade for education, all of which were developed from the lessons from those framework. The challenges, however, with monitoring and reporting for the second decade was the lack of benchmarks that existed for a large number of indicators. Additionally, the challenges of data collection, its availability, and the lack of capacity at the level of member states hinders our efforts to properly monitor, evaluate, and report on the progress and achievements so far. As we that the right kind of resources and partnership are galvanized towards effective monitoring and implementation of all the 12 strategic objectives. Likewise, a strong and implementable capacity building strategy should be put in place. A policy data unit as proposed by the CESA Higher Education Cluster to support the collection of data and the production of policy reports on African higher education, a welcome idea. And of course, the cluster can always count on the support of the AUC. The critical role of the PDU in providing reliable and up-to-date input on higher education in Africa makes it very significant and important. I want to seize this opportunity to once again thank and appreciate our partners, the colleagues from the EU, the implementing partners, the AAU, Obrel Global, and of course, the leads across the various sub-clusters of the higher education cluster for, of course, leading this process. Let me once again assure of our commitment to this process. We at the AUC are very much excited with this initiative. And of course, please continue to count on our support. Thank you so much for your attention. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for setting the stage for us. And indeed, the AUC's leadership in this endeavor is essential. So thank you for your support. Finally, last short opening word from the Association of African Universities, who was also a core implementing partner of the HAQUA initiative, in addition to being the co-coordinator of the CESA Higher Education Cluster. I would like to introduce Professor Jonathan Mabah.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Good morning and good afternoon from wherever you are joining. On behalf of our Secretary General, Professor Nehile, I would like to join my voice to welcome all of you to this important CESA Higher Education in Focus series. As has been mentioned by Elizabeth, the event will be part of the groundwork for the policy data unit's development and legitimacy, rooting it closely in the CESA process, as has been mentioned by Mr. Emmanuel of African Union Commission. So our plan is to organize in collaboration with Global Obrel, led by Elizabeth, that is coordinating the HAQUA project, and in collaboration with the CESA Higher Education Subcluster coordinators. We are proposing to organize a number of online CESA Higher Education Cluster events with a common thread that is linked to the data collection for policy making. In other words, the data policy nexus issue. So this is the first in a series of these events, and we are happy that you have joined us to, deliberate, to discuss, and also to share ideas on this important subject area that has implications for policy making. So the process, in our opinion, will lead to the AAU General Conference in July, where a session will be dedicated to the HAQUA2 CESA related activities and the policy data unit concept, which will be presented to the Vice Chancellors during this event. So on that note, I would like to welcome all of you, and on behalf of our Secretary General, I wish all of us a very fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you. And indeed, AAU is an important partner and voice, as always, in this process. Without further ado, let's go on to the main event. As mentioned before, this forum today will be led by Peter Okobukula and Juma Shubani. Many of you know them very well. They have been strong figureheads in the African higher education harmonization agenda for quite a long time now, and very important collaborators on many levels. Very briefly,